Hi, I'm Shay.
And I'm Hannah, and we're Dinnernational.
And today we're cooking Mexican food. Mexico is home to ancient civilizations dating back to 8000 BC. The modern Mexican identity is a fusion of Mesoamerican and European customs and traditions, and adopts cultural and culinary practices from both regions. Today, we decided to steer clear from Tex-Mex and cook some classic Mexican dishes. Pozole, an ancient soup made with pork and hominy, simmered in a spicy broth, topped with fresh cabbage, radish, lime juice, and herbs. We serve pozole with its traditional accompaniment, a pan-fried corn tortilla, also known as a tostada. We also prepared a patriotic dish, reminiscent of the Mexican flag, Chiles and Nogada, a roasted, stuffed poblano pepper topped with a delightfully creamy walnut sauce and pomegranate jewels. Add on a couple of homemade fresh salsas and we have a time-tested meal, perfected for kings.
Let's get started.
Perfect.
So we are going to be making pozole, which is an ancient soup that predates Mexico. It has some interesting history.
We read that on special occasions, the Aztecs would use human meat as sacrifice and use that in the soup.
We're not going to use human meat today. We're going to use pork. Apparently it tastes like human meat. This is 3 pounds of bone-in pork shoulder. I have 4 quarts of water boiling behind me because we're going to be making the soup in that pot. We salted this meat and let it sit for about a half hour or so, and this is an optional step, but it'll give it that nice extra flavor. We've patted the meat dry and now we're going to brown it in stages before we add it to the pot that's boiling behind us. Okay, first batch is done. You don't want to cook this all the way through because it's going to continue cooking in the pot. I'm going to finish browning this meat and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, pulling off my last pieces of pork here. Ooh, nice. We've got some good color on most of the pieces. And I'm going to quickly saute some garlic in here. Don't let it burn. Kind of toss it around. Oh wow, that smells amazing. I'm going to turn this off. And we're gonna add stuff to the pot. So one moment. Okay, this is really smoky, but I have my pot of boiling water here, and I'm going to add the meat that we just browned into that pot, gently without splashing. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Make sure to get all the accumulated juices, all the garlic, and here we have 2 cans of hominy that has been strained and rinsed. Put that in there. This is pretty simple, guys. We have 2 bay leaves, 2 tablespoons of oregano. Use Mexican oregano if you have it, and 1 tablespoon of cumin. And you're gonna put a whole tablespoon of salt in, so I'm just gonna kinda estimate maybe 1 more. And we're gonna add something to it in a second. Now to the part that's going to pack a punch in our pozole. When you weren't looking, I soaked 2 ounces of guajillo chilies and 2 ounces of ancho chilies. They look kind of black and dark and strange before they're soaked, but now they've kind of come back to life. I've removed the seeds also and the stems. We're going to put all of these into the food processor and give it a little mix. Some seeds are still in there and that's okay. We want some heat here. This is 4 cloves of garlic that I've roughly chopped. Let's blend it. Okay, so I'm gonna add a cup of this water. I know it doesn't look like water. This is the water that the peppers were soaking in. So I'm gonna add about a cup. Doesn't have to be exact. I just wanna hydrate this a little bit. Should be good, right? Okay, give it a mix. Oh wow. This is looking spicy, but it's gonna be awesome. Let's see, let's take a look at the texture here. Wow. We need to add some salt, that's for sure. We're gonna add about a teaspoon and a little bit more of that water. Okay, our peppers are blended up. They're looking beautiful and smooth, but we're still going to sieve this to get it extra creamy. Pour it all in there. Okay, so yeah, you're just gonna kind of let the juices flow through the sieve, catching any larger pieces so that they don't go into our final product. This is gonna be awesome. I'm really excited. I've never actually had pozole before, and I feel like this is kind of a special soup. This was a sacred soup for the Aztecs, and it was eaten on special occasions. This is also a special occasion because this is our season finale of the Americas. We had to end with Mexico, because Mexico's awesome.
Dude, it's gonna be like nectar of the gods.
I'm wondering how they sieved theirs back in the day. You know, ancient times, how did they sieve theirs? They probably had some chunky pozole, right?
Yeah, but they had like one of those mortar and pestle type things. They ground everything like real fine.
Yeah. Okay, look at this delicious creamy mixture of the peppers. I'm going to add this to the pot with the pork and the pozole and let it cook for 3.5 hours or so, okay?
We love Mexican food in this house, so needless to say, we cook a lot of it. And at Dinnernational, we always try to make some things that we've never tried cooking before. So today we decided to make chiles and nogada. Not only have we never prepared this, but we've never tasted this dish before, and I'm super excited to try it. It's weirdly reminiscent of our Iran episode where we made like a duck fesenjan. You'll see why. Even though it's like a starkly different looking dish, you'll see some elements of similarity. So let's get started. Let's get the hardest part of this dish out of the way. So this is 1.5 cups of walnuts. While you were not looking, I soaked these in warm water, and the purpose of this is so I could get rid of these skins. So this was a difficult task, I won't lie. It took me more than 20-25 minutes to scrub these walnuts clean, and as you can see, now they're all clean. Well, almost. There's a lot of these that I kind of did not. I kind of lost patience with that. But the idea is that you need to have like a white colored sauce without like a lot of fragments. So yeah, let's blend this. Okay, let's make some nogada sauce. So these walnuts are still a little bit soft, so I hope it would be easy enough to grind. I'm just gonna put these in the food processor, and I'm just gonna pulse these with the rest of the ingredients in the sauce. This is about 2.5 ounces of cream cheese, about a teaspoon of salt. That was actually sugar, teaspoon of sugar. And about like half a teaspoon of salt. So I'm just gonna add like a couple of pinches in there, maybe a touch more. And let's see how much milk we need. This is about 1/2 cup. I'm just gonna start with a 1/4 cup first. Maybe I'll add a touch more of milk, because we want this to be sauce. This is more like a paste. I'm gonna add the rest of that in there. This looks pretty saucy. I'm fairly satisfied with that. Let me just give this a little taste. Ooh, that's tasty. I like it. It's like this cream cheesy, nutty texture. I think we're gonna have a nice meal. You cannot have chiles and nogada without the chiles. So we have 6 poblano peppers over here. If you've never tried these are like a really nice, very well flavored chile. I cannot describe it very well, but it's kind of like a jalapeno and kind of like a green bell pepper. I don't know, I cannot explain it, but I can definitely tell you it's delicious. So now I'm gonna go roast these over an open fire. And as you can see, the skin is starting to get a little bit burnt. And now I will peel the skin off of my chiles. Our peppers are ready to be filled. So let's go ahead and make our filling. So I've got a pan heating up, and I have half a package of ground beef. This is like a meat sauna in here. I like meat saunas. So once the meat is no longer pink, you can add the rest of the ingredients. So here I have 1 small white onion, which is fairly traditional to Mexico. We have 1/4 of an apple, which I just cut into like little dice, just like the onion, and 1/4 of a pear. We don't want these to be like really big bites because remember, we're stuffing this inside the chilies. So So we don't want like really big chunks of fruit in there. But from what I understand, it's fairly forgiving and you can add like all different sorts of fruit, like bananas, plantains. But we're just gonna stick with these. There's one more fruit in our filling. It's tomato. That's right, tomato is a fruit. Give everything a good mix. A nice pinch of sugar. You can add more if you'd like, but yeah, we don't want it to be too sweet because there's a bunch of fruit in there. Nice pinch of salt. And I have some whole spices. I have like 3 cloves, about 4 or 5 peppercorns. This is just black peppercorn, and a little bit of cinnamon. You can always use ground spices if that's what you have, but I have these on hand. Now it's starting to smell like a party. Now I'm gonna add some garlic in there. I love garlic. This is just 4 cloves of minced garlic. And this is half a teaspoon of thyme. I'm gonna stir everything together. We don't want this to burn. Saute that for about 30 seconds. Now it's time to add your tomato paste. This is half a cup of tomato sauce. And our final ingredient, raisins. That's it, you guys. Our filling is almost ready. I'm just gonna saute this real quick and get it a little bit dry. Considering this needs to go inside your chilies, you don't want this mixture to be too wet, but at the same time, you don't want it to be too dry. So just keep stirring this and let some of the moisture evaporate. I'm super excited to eat this dish. Now it's time to fill our chilies with the filling. So this is gonna be an interesting surgical challenge. So I'm just supposed to cut it right down the middle, but at the same time, I want to keep this whole. So I'm just gonna do this as gingerly as possible with a paring knife. Whoops, it's juicy. There you go. Okay, so I got this right down the middle. Look at that. And I'm just gonna scrape some of the seeds out. So as you can see, this is like a nice little pouch. And I'm gonna fill this with my filling. I'm just gonna use my hands. But if you're feeding a bunch of people, you can probably use a spoon. Okay, it's not that hard. It's just about finding the right balance. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep filling this baby. We don't want it to be too full because we want to be able to close this pepper back up. So that's it, you guys. That's the pepper and that's the stuffing, and we'll pour some sauce on it. And then we have a special surprise for the garnish.
Yeah.
Are you ready to eat some Mexican food?
I've been waiting for weeks, actually.
Look how crispy you got that.
Oh yeah, we toasted a couple tortillas to dry them out, and then we fried them to make some tostadas. Oh, look at that smiling face.
I really like tostadas. I mean, I really like corn tortillas to begin with, and then you fry it, and then it's even more delicious. So yeah, tostada is like a traditional accompaniment for your tasty pozole. And why wouldn't it be? It's like a nice little cracker for your soup. Go for it.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the little pieces of pork. I mean, it's like super succulent and it's falling apart.
I've never had either of these dishes. I think we said that already. So we're both really excited. I mean,
yeah. And the hominy was actually a surprise revelation for me too.
so good. It's like corn, but it kind of has the texture of a chickpea. You know?
That's delicious.
I want some pork.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my gosh. The pork.
It's got some really complex, delicious flavor.
You know what it needs? A little squirt of lime.
Oh yeah, lime's delicious anyway.
Oh yeah.
So, pozole. Pozole is a definite win in this household. This is a definite win.
Definite win.
Look at this pretty plate. It looks like jewels on it, pomegranate jewels.
We actually tried some of the stuffing, you know, with a little spoon. It's so interesting.
It's so tasty.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly good. The combination of ingredients may seem strange. It's perfect. It really works.
Try eating a little piece of this.
I will.
It's so nice. Yeah, like you were saying earlier, the combination of the fillings is kind of unusual, but it just works together so well. I mean, cream cheese and jalapenos is like a thing even in the West. And
Wow.
yeah, this is kind of similar, right?
Yeah, and this is I just got a little piece of pomegranate that really does make it. It's like this pop of like cold sweetness.
It's delicious.
And this is supposed to be eaten room temp, by the way. This is what we learned. Yeah.
Wow, the walnut sauce? The walnut sauce and the apples, I mean, all of the fruit, it just works really well together. It's amazing. I'm in love with this dish.
It's really difficult to make. I'd say, you know, there's a lot involved, you know, scraping the walnut, scraping the pepper, all of this, but it's actually so good.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
Wow. Chiles and Nogada. All right, so we're gonna finish eating this and we'll see you next week.